Welcome back everyone to the F1 2017 career mode as you join me for one final time because it's the finale of season 3 and the finale of the career mode itself, the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. 60 parts, 3 whole seasons on F1 2017, and it's taken me a year almost to do 3 seasons. I procrastinated at parts here and there. As you can see, if I really set my mind to it and sort of give myself no free time aside from work, I can definitely do a video a day. There were some bits that also allowed me to do that, so, you know, it's hard work and it's been, you know, tough to keep hold of, but it's been possible for these past sort of 7 parts, 8 parts, whatever you want to call it. But anyway, we still have a job to do going into this final round, and that is clinch the Constructors' World Championship for McLaren. Realistically, our only competition is Ferrari, who are 38 points behind us. So basically they need to get a 1-2 and we need to not score points whatsoever. So let's set ourselves up for the race with our lap in qualifying. Right near the end of the session, we are attacking the first sector. We're 2.5 tenths down already on pole position. Our final engine, sorry, we've taken no new components this year. Our final engine is a little bit worn, about 3 parts are in the old 50% range, so not optimum power, but we've had a good run at the hairpin, and I'm going to utilise Max Verstappen's slipstream all the way down this back straight, just for that additional bit of speed. That's going to bring us up from a few hundredths to over 2 tenths by the time we get to the hairpin, up on our time for the previous lap as we swing it through there. I ran a lower ride height than normal around here, and that meant the car on that bump specifically that we just went over was not feeling very good, but we got a good drive out of the chicane, and we're 7.5 tenths, or 7.25 tenths, sorry, up on our personal best time, but we've gone deep there into the old left, right, left at the start of the final sector. As we now come around the final corner, we are over 8 tenths up as we accelerate out the final corner, across the line, and it's enough for P7, 1.3 off the pace. But you know, all we need to do is qualify relatively well, which is exactly what we've done. Alonso in 5th, the Ferraris are 2nd and 4th, so we're already within the top 10, and all we need to do is retain those positions and we will be Constructors' World Champions. So pressure's off at the moment. We need to see how the race goes. And as Jeff says there, let's try and end it on a high note. Strategy-wise, that one stop looks like a bad time. I don't want to do that, and we're not going to see Brazil all over again. Brazil, a very odd out-of-body experience, as one might say, but no, we're going to do the 2-stop around Abu Dhabi for the final race of the season as we build with the lights. 5 are on, 5 are out for the final time, and away we go for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. We pull immediately to the left-hand side to try and go down the inside. We've got a Force India on our inside. Ricciardo and Alonso on our outside. Squeeze them out. That's us up into P5 already. Yellow flag. Someone's round at the first corner. Raikkonen is up ahead of Bottas, so it's now Ferrari 2-3, and he's put Bottas back into our clutches. Can we make a move into the chicane? Bottas just a little bit too far ahead just there. Now we just need to try and stick as close to him as feasibly possible through the hairpin, just reading the serial number off the gearbox of that Mercedes, but he gets brilliant traction as we head onto the back straight for the first time. Alonso right up behind me as well, so it's currently a Mercedes in the lead, a Ferrari 2-3, a Mercedes 4th, a McLaren 5-6, as we've normally seen the front 3 teams. Red Bull technically are ahead of us in the pecking order, but we are the 3rd fastest team as we keep up behind Bottas, but we're not able to get past him at the first major overtaking opportunity there on this lap. Can we follow him here? DRS, of course, not active until the 3rd lap. So can we follow him here and make a dive bomb into the left-hander? No, we can't. Once again, just too far back. Had to keep the car very under control, under braking there, and already removing a little bollard there on the inside of the corners. Bottas goes slow initially, but then we run it out wide and we don't get a run on him there. So that was a bit of a setback. And then really it was a chain of events for the next few laps. You're going to see it here. I'm attempting to get a good run out of the hairpin, use DRS and slipstream to allow myself to pass Bottas into the hairpin at the end of the straight. But you see it here, lap 3, just not getting close enough there. Lap 4, we're going to try and give it another go. We're within a second, obviously, because we're getting DRS each and every lap. But whatever it is, if it's the run at the hairpin or the run through the hairpin or whatever, we're just not able to really get close enough. Once again, you see there, just too far out. This is lap 5 now. This is going to be our fourth run on him, arguably. We've had the last couple of laps as well as lap 1. Can we get closer to him this time? We do seem a little bit closer, so we are gaining here on Valtteri Bottas. I think we're just once again going to be a little bit shy as it comes to the braking zone. But you see it here as we get closer to the corner, just the closing speed we had on him. So I knew it was going to be when, not if, we overtook Bottas. So here we go, lap 6. We're going to have another go at Valtteri Bottas. Look at him just so slow on corner apex, but I slid the car wide. That was me being a bit too hot, but we bumped the car up to Rich, and we're going to have another go at Valtteri Bottas. Slipstream, DRS, the whole shebang as we head down towards the old chicane. Can we make a pass on Valtteri Bottas this time around? Our survey, once again, unfortunately, says no. But now we're going to try and shape him up. Alonso is all over our gearbox as well, so I do get the feeling once we pass Valtteri Bottas, Alonso will also be past Valtteri Bottas. And a Ferrari has taken the lead of the Grand Prix. I believe that to be Sebastian Vettel just there. So we're going to have to try and attack. And hopefully, I mean, like I say, as long as we score points, it's not really too much of an issue there. But we just want to see if we don't want to let Ferrari run away with it. But we are the closest we have been since the start of the Grand Prix. Lap 7, DRS, Slipstream, closing up on the back of the Finns Mercedes, and we're going to lunge from a long way back into the chicane, get it nice and slow down. Bottas tried to cut back underneath, but we're going to cut him off at the pass and not allow that switchback move. And as I said, Alonso was through later on in the lap, but by the end of lap 7, we are in for our first pit stop of the Grand Prix, our first of 2. Obviously, Hamilton is in, Raikkonen is in, also on the 2 stops. Bottas and Alonso carry on. So Vettel there is the lead. Ferrari, there goes Raikkonen, there goes Hamilton. We're held for a brief period because of Hamilton, and we're going to come out, obviously, with the unique pit lane here in Abu Dhabi. Oh, we're going to come out behind a train of cars. This is not exactly what I would call ideal, but let's sort of see what we can do as we try and side through the traffic. Ricciardo was also in that lap. So we're going to come out in 14th place behind. Well, I mean, Raikkonen and Hamilton have fed into the train, but I've fed out sort of directly behind it. In fact, Kimi's at the head of the train, so he's not getting held up, and Hamilton's only got one car. Then meanwhile, I've got Kvyat, Verstappen, Magnussen, and there's a Williams up there that I'm eventually going to have to deal with as well. So we'll need to see how that goes, but we're closing up on Magnussen, of course, very old ultra soft tyres. If he pushes it probably a lap further, he's going to go for that one stop. What we're going to do on this lap is we're going to go for some slipstream, DRS into the chicane. Verstappen's going to make a move on Kvyat. We make a move on Magnussen, and because the door was open, I figured do a Daniel Ricciardo, lick a stamp, and send it. That's exactly what I did. 3 moves into 1, and that's us up past most of the train. Then it's Felipe Massa just down the road, who actually comes in at the end of the lap, so he doesn't cost me any time. Thank you very much, Felipe. And we now come across the line there. 3.7 seconds behind the next car up the road, but I believe Hulkenberg was in the pits. Bottas has pit that lap. You see him there. We've got past Valtteri. Alonso was going under the tunnel, which is under the circuit. He's momentarily ahead of me. You see him there on the left-hand side, but Alonso lifts out of the throttle because he was on the marbles there, and that's actually allowed us to only just stay ahead of Fernando. But we've got Hamilton just up the road there. We're not actually too far behind him. Then we come up behind Romain Grosjean, who is pushing his ultra soft tyres to go very far. This will be the 10th lap he's done on them now as we go on to it, as we set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix at a 40.7. So we've got some pace on this particular set of tyres, but I said it on this game in previous seasons and in fact F1 2016, my tyres don't exactly last well. It's almost like I get a graining phase at around about 30%. But anyway, we're up behind Grosjean into the first chicane on the circuit. It's a dive into 5th place there. And we've got the Ferrari of Raikkonen and Hamilton tucked up behind a Toro Rosso. That looked like Alonso has also followed me through there. Bit of a wily old fox move. He's sitting behind me, letting me pull him along, and then just making a dive on a move, making a move on someone who's been put out of position. So we close up behind Carlos Sainz, who's on the super soft tyres. So he's going for the more conservative strategy, super soft to regular soft tyres, but that of course makes him a bit more vulnerable into the final corner down the inside, and we are past Carlos Sainz as we go on to lap 11 there, and Alonso will be following me through, I imagine, very, very soon. Now, on lap 11, Sebastian Vettel emerges from the pits. Raikkonen setting the pace. Now he's out of traffic on a 40.0. He's 1.2 seconds faster than me. Vettel has emerged on soft tyres, so while he's lost the lead of the Grand Prix, he hasn't got to pit again. Meanwhile, Raikkonen, Hamilton, myself, and Alonso, and Bottas all have to pit again. So, realistically, Sebastian Vettel right now is in a net P1. On to lap 12, Alonso's got a brilliant run out of the chicane, and he's heading down towards the start of the final sector. And do you know what? I'm just going to move out of the way of Fernando. He's been on my rear wing since the exit of the pits and been all over me since the start of the race. So I figured, you know what, I'll make it easy, not too obvious, just let him through there, get on, because he's faster than me. And of course, he is in a battle with Lewis Hamilton for 5th place in the Drivers' World Championship. And as we get informed by Jeff just there, Alonso has an issue with his car, so yeah, me letting him through to try and chase down and get past Vettel and try and get on the back of Hamilton and Raikkonen hasn't exactly worked out. So Alonso there was a few seconds a lap slow. So what I did there is I've acted as a rear gunner because we've had Valtteri Bottas closing on us there on his ultra soft tyres. So I stuck my McLaren down to lean mix and I've acted as a rear gunner. I've already won my championship. I've got nothing really to fight for. Like I said before as well, McLaren just need to score points this race. It's about helping Alonso try and beat Hamilton if he can. So I was fending off Bottas here going into the second sector, pinching him there against the apex. He wasn't actually able to make the move on me. We're going to be coming in at the end of the next lap, I believe, to change from our ultra softs to our next set of super soft tyres. But Bottas here is in our slipstream, similar to earlier on in the race where we were slipstreaming him. He's now slipstreaming me. We squeeze him against the wall. He pulls ahead of us, and then we pull it down the inside. Bottas there didn't protect the left side of the circuit, so we were able to just let him pull ahead, go to the inside, and that enabled us to take the position back and be up into 5th place. Bottas, though, is not going to have it on acceleration. He is going to try with all of his might, his Mercedes muscles there, to get past us. So we squeeze him to the outside, don't let him pull too far ahead, go deep initially into the corner. And Bottas tries to have another little look at us there, but wasn't able to get through. Come the end of the lap again, we have the Ferrari and the Mercedes in the pits. They've built much more of a gap there because, as I say, I slowed down to protect Alonso from a Valtteri Bottas. So Alonso carries on, Bottas carries on. I appear to be pitting the same lap as Hamilton and Raikkonen. So we're going to be coming in for a set of super soft tyres and running to the end of the season. Get it? Get it? God, that was awful. Running to the end of the season on this set of super soft tyres. So the McLaren boys, once again, 2.1 second stop. Just excellent stuff by the McLaren boys. And we're going to come out in a nice bit of fresh air in 6th place. And well, that's going to allow us to get the pedal down, use the fresh tyres, and make sure we slot in between Fernando and Bottas. Or maybe jump Fernando. I don't really want to jump Fernando. I want him to finish ahead of me. Sainz there in 7th place on the soft compound tyre. He's the guy doing bits there to be best of the rest. So come on to lap 18. You see Bottas' name on the right-hand side. Alonso goes underneath the circuit. So here we go then. On the very next lap, Alonso coming out the pit lane. He's slightly more ahead of us than he was at the first stint. I'll lift off the throttle ever so slightly to go, there you go, Fernando. You can have the position. So the McLarens run 4-5. Unfortunately, Lewis Hamilton runs a little bit further up the road. So let's see what Alonso can do. He has the fresher tyres. I asked Jeff there to ask about Alonso, so he has fresh super softs, and I wanted to see if it advised about mechanical issues. It didn't, so I'm going to assume Alonso's issue is fixed. So realistically, all I want to do now is try and stick with him and use Alonso to pull me along. That strategy didn't work because Alonso was faster than I expected him to be. So right now, it's once again, as it has been for the whole season, Simon Hull versus Valtteri Bottas in the final race of the season. Bottas pulls ahead, goes to the right hand side, leaves the left completely vulnerable, and we're just going to send it down the inside. Thank you very much, Valtteri. Once again, lap 23, he's going to pull a very similar move, goes down the inside, pulls a car length ahead, we switch it to the inside. It's just simple driving, Valtteri, and we just don't allow him to cut back underneath us for the second part of the chicane, and then his AI just can't really focus after we do that. But he's had a decent run out of the chicane, and he's now going to try and go for the outside move into the left. We squeeze him out, but we've gone wide, unfortunately. Dropped the rear a little bit, had to catch it, denied the traction, and Bottas nearly had a run on us there, so impressive stuff. He sort of hung back for a couple of laps, and I assume saved his fuel for a little bit to have another go at us. That's exactly what he's going to do on lap 27, coming into the final sector. Inside line, lunged it deep on the brakes. A bit too deep, Valtteri, a guy that I've admitted before doesn't really have the balls to go for any moves. Went for a big move and double lock up there into turn 1. Very unfortunate, but Sebastian Vettel has won the final race of the season. Alonso came home in 4th, but I'm going to bring it home in 5th to complete the road to glory. McLaren are world champions.
That's the end of the race. We'll see you in Park Fermé. So here they come now, out onto the podium.
go, anywhere in the world, the prancing horse flags are dominant in the grandstands, and they're out in force again today. It's Ferrari on the top step once more. Already be wrapped up, but let's look at the constructors' standings. With that result, McLaren can no longer be touched at the top of the table. They've had their ups and downs this season like all teams, but they've weathered the storm and come out on top. McLaren are world champions once again.
Thank you for that, David Croft. Yes, even though Ferrari got a 1-2, Vettel, Raikkonen, then Hamilton, Alonso was a few seconds back, and I was 15 seconds back from Fernando. McLaren are world champions, and I have completed the road to glory that's taken me nearly a year to do, but I'm honestly so glad I did it. You know, compared to 2016 where I jumped around a lot, we brought the McLaren back to the mountaintop. Drivers and constructors. Speaking of drivers, Hamilton beats Alonso by 1 point in the final race. It's heartbreaking for Alonso, and we end it quite nicely on a nice flat 300 points. So that's nice. I'll take that. That's a satisfying number of points to get there. And you can see the McLaren end on 490 points, 17 points clear of Ferrari, 42 ahead of Mercedes. Force India beat Red Bull by 2 points. Wow, Red Bull, the fourth fastest team this year. The fifth, not even the fourth fastest. That's insane. So we come to the end of season screen. You see some of our results on the left-hand side. Team Performance Index, Ferrari and Mercedes look very similar. Then you got ourselves and Red Bull looking very close. Then you got Force India, Renault, Williams, Toro Rosso, Haas and Sauber. As a lot of people have mentioned, the teams didn't really move around much. So we now have a little look back at the years. Season 1, only one podium in Season 1. That was Italy. And, of course, our first points coming in. Probably one of our favourite videos of this whole season. Spain Season 1, where we drove brilliantly to get 8th place. Then we just got more points in Monaco. We could have had more in Canada in wet conditions there, but we had warm parts. And, yeah, just eventually getting a solid string together of points finishes, especially at the back end of the season. A couple of 4th places there in Japan and Mexico. And then we move on to Season 2, where we still got 4th and 5th, then 9th in Bahrain, then a breakthrough in Russia, 2nd place, Spain 4th, Monaco 5th, then finally we cemented the legacy in that brilliant Season 2 Canadian Grand Prix where we were completely untouchable, and then we just had an absolute mad one in Azerbaijan, back-to-back wins, then a bit of a down period, then our 3rd win of our career in Belgium, and then more podiums in USA and Mexico, and then the big season here, we both championships you see there on the right hand side. We got 4th in Australia, but that was our first pole position of our career. A couple of 3rd places, then the win in Russia, the win in Spain. 6 wins of this season in Russia, Spain, Canada, obviously Hungary, Belgium and Italy. And that right there, that 3 wins in a row after the 2nd in Britain as well, is where it really swung into my favour. Yes, we had some issues at the end of the season in Singapore and in USA, but we secured it in Mexico, the World Drivers' Championship. Guys, if you enjoyed this season, please leave a like on the video and comment any feedback down below. And let me know if you're excited for me to cover F1 2018, because I will be. And please expect a video in the next 2 weeks as an announcement to the team I'll be driving for in Season 1. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.